Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. I'm in Arizona for the Super Bowl, Tony. Where will you be?
And Tony Kornheiser throwing a big kegger at your house in Maryland. So many TVs. Fabulous
I got
man
lots of
cave.
alarms.
Gonna have about 80
alarm
people.
system.
Yeah.
I didn't give you the code.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can get in.
Man, don't worry about it. I got the code from your son. It's his
He'd give it to you,
first
too.
incident
He
with
would.
beer. He's looking forward to it. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Patrick Mahomes wins MVP. The NBA title picture gets a reset. And Booger McFarland joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Super Bowl. Wilbon, why don't I ask you what we've been asking our guests all week? Which way are you leaning?
Well, Tony, I'm going to stay true to my roots. I grew up with a franchise that doesn't know anything about offense or quarterbacks or all that stuff. We know something about rushing passers and making quarterbacks eat a little dirt. And that's very difficult to do with Patrick Mahomes. I think it might be a little bit easier a couple of weeks removed from the high ankle sprain. He moved around pretty well in the championship game. But, Tony, that Eagles pass rush reminds me of great pass rushes of all times, including one that won the Super Bowl in about, 37 years ago, the Bears. They whether with just 4 people rushing the passer, whether they dial up the phrase I hate most, something else, they know how to put pressure on quarterbacks. And if Patrick Mahomes is not moving at a 9 to 10 level on his own scale, he could be in some peril. And I'm looking at that. And I know that Kansas City is capable of rushing the ball. They're going to need to run the ball a lot. And they may not want to do that. Andy Reid may not, he's going to be a little bit stubborn in terms of putting that passing game in effect. And Patrick Mahomes, the newly minted second-time MVP. But I'm going with the Eagles in that defense, Tony, and thinking that they can control to some degree Patrick Mahomes and keep him locked up and win this game.
I can't tell you how happy this makes me that you are picking the I-95 team. Forever and ever, you just picked an I-95 team. And unlike you, I actually like the city of Philadelphia. My son went to college there. My son-in-law grew up in Atlantic City. He really likes the Eagles. My problem with the Eagles is very simple. I fear I don't know enough about them. I haven't seen them that often. I know they ran through their schedule. When Jalen Hurts was playing, they were 14-1, and they were killing people. But, Mike, I saw them on a Sunday night game against Washington, and they lost. So I'm reticent to embrace them because I don't think Washington is any good. Philadelphia only played 4 playoff teams in the regular season. That's all. And they lost one of those games, and that was to Dallas. So I know I hear about the offensive line and the defensive line. I just don't know who they've beaten to this point. Although, they've been really great. My sense with Mahomes is this. If he's at the top of his game, he's the best. And he can win a game by himself.
He wins if he's at the top of his game.
But you know what, Mike? He's been in 2 Super Bowls, and his record is not good. His individual records, 1-1 in the games. But he's got 2 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions, and he's been sacked 6 times. So maybe he's not that great in the Super Bowl. And, Mike, I think this is a Super Bowl which may have a tilt in the careers of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And if they lose, it would take a turn the way they don't want to see it go.
Yeah, I don't want to decide their legacies based on what happens primarily on Sunday. But Tony, I hear you. Look, we've seen some great quarterbacks have to eat it in Super Bowls. I mean, I think about those early appearances for John Elway, and then he had some great appearances and one late in his career. But again, I'm betting on defense. What a surprise to you.
Okay.
That's what I understand. I'm betting on defense, and that means going with the Eagles in this game. Patrick Mahomes is the regular season MVP for the second time. Mahomes took 48 of the 50 first-place votes in the first year of ranked voting. Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen split the other 2. Tony, does Mahomes' margin of victory make any sense to you?
No, not even slightly, no. I mean, you've heard me for weeks, if not months, say that I would have voted for Jalen Hurts in this case. Let's look at the Eagles. He plays in 15 games. They win 14 of them. He doesn't play in 2. They lose them both. How much more of an indication that what his value is than something like that? Patrick Mahomes is great. Okay, he's the best football player on the planet. But 48 of the 50? And Hurts gets 1? and Hurts is left off 2 ballots completely that go 1 to 5? What season are those people watching? I'm good. If you want to vote for Patrick Mahomes, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But I somehow think that Jalen Hurts has been truly shortchanged in this vote.
Leaving Hurts off your ballot is stupid. It means you're a dope. That's what it means. If you leave him off, it means you are being governed by probably analytics and some specific ones that tell you we paint by the numbers, and I find those people and their choices loathsome. I just do. I am never going to argue against Patrick Mahomes, but you can't not have Jalen Hurts on your ballot. Again, you're a dope and your ballot should be thrown out. And so it's not even the margin, Tony. It would be the reasoning, you know?
Yeah, but to be fair, you don't know that analytics are involved. I mean, we don't even know who voted in this thing.
I'm betting. Okay. This is what generations of people do now. I'm taking that bet.
Patrick Mahomes accounted for 45 touchdowns, 41 passing. He was the best passer in the league, and I give you that. Jalen Hurts is a different style quarterback. He accounted for 35 touchdowns, 13 running, more than 1/3 running. I think the difference in styles was not accounted for in his voting. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has been to this. I don't know that it's analytics. Patrick Mahomes has been to this game a few times before. How did the Eagles get to the Super Bowl? Because of Jalen Hurts. Again, if it's 30-20, I'm okay. 48-1,
my point is you
I'm not okay.
Use passing numbers to make the case that people make for Mahomes. And I'm saying, no, that's about passing. Quarterback involves more than passing the football. Because if it didn't, Dan Marino would have about 7 rings, and he doesn't. That's my point. Yeah, people are driven by their agendas, and they usually involve numbers, which I find loathsome. You made my case.
Maybe I should go to your side of the street because your feet are firmly parked on I-95, and it's actually my side of the street. No. Let's move to the NBA and try to reset things after a wild flurry of trades at the deadline. By virtue of getting Kevin Durant, the Suns look like the favorites in the West, and by virtue of the best record in the NBA, 39-16. The Celtics look like the favorites in the East. Wilbon, you've been saying all season it's anyone's race. It's too close to call. So I will ask, are Boston and Phoenix, the teams to beat? And if so, is that good for the NBA?
They're the teams to beat now on paper for Vegas. You know, I don't pay any attention to that junk. That's your thing. There are there's 7 or 8 teams that have every reason to think they're good enough to contend seriously for a championship going into the playoffs. You got Boston, you got Milwaukee, you've got Philadelphia. You no longer have Brooklyn. I think it's too early for Cleveland in the East. So you got those 3. And in the West, you still have, I don't know how good Dallas is going to be. We got to see, as you say, Luka and Kyrie play together. I'm not expecting them yet.
Yep.
But you've got Denver, you've got Phoenix. I don't know how good the Lakers are going to be, even though I think they're going to improve. Not that much. You do have Golden State. You still have about 7 teams that I think you look at them and say, hey, wait a minute. And we haven't seen Phoenix. They got to actually play the games. So I think there are at least 6 or 7 teams that think that. I think that's good for the league. And I think having 2 teams out there that people are shooting for and want to see. And did I say Philly? I meant to make sure I said Philly. Philly, Milwaukee, and Boston.
You did. Yeah,
I think all those teams are in play to me, Tone. All of them, no matter what Vegas or your odds say.
Yeah, well, I will declaratively say that at the moment, Phoenix and Boston are the teams to beat. And I think it's really good, particularly in the case of Boston. Whenever Boston is in the mix, Boston and the Lakers are to the NBA what the Yankees and the Dodgers are to baseball. They are teams that people can love and people can hate all around the country. So I like that. I think the story I want to read more than any other story, and I haven't read it yet, which doesn't mean it hasn't been written, is Joe Mazzulla. Who is this guy? When Ime Udoka was cashiered out the way he was in that stunning way, I thought the upheaval of that, and many people thought the upheaval of that, would cripple the Celtics. Not one game. I mean, Mazzulla has been great. And in terms of Phoenix, now that they have Durant, I want to see Durant in the final. Durant's a total Hessian, right? Durant has no loyalty to team. He has no loyalty to people. He walked out on Oklahoma City. He didn't even tell Westbrook. He walked out on Golden State after 2 titles. Nobody understands that. Now he walked out on the Nets, a day after Kyrie walked out on the Nets, and he'll walk out on Phoenix too. But when he plays, he's a tremendous player who's all about the game. So I want to see him. Let's take a break. Coming up, what can the Eagles do to defend Travis Kelce? We're going to ask Booger McFarland.
We'll also ask him which team he favors on Sunday. There's a lot of teams to watch.
You know you're rooting for Phoenix.
I can't wait to watch. Huh?
You're rooting for Phoenix. Of course you are.
Of course I am. Of course I am.
Right.
But I'm not going to stick my head in the sand and say they have to win, because they don't have to win.
That's all you have out there is sand. You're in the desert. Washington beat the Eagles on Monday night, not Sunday night. My mistake. Let us go quickly to the big finish.
Let's do it.
New Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees include Rondé Barber, Jarrell Rivas, DeMarcus Ware, Zach Thomas, Joe Thomas, Don Coryell, Joe Klecko, Chuck Howley, and Ken Riley. Okay with you?
All of them more than okay, but I better see Devin Hester next year. There was a backlog, a jam. Devin Hester going forward. Congrats to everybody in this class. Tiger Woods plans to play in next week's Genesis. Oh, my God. That's a huge deal, is it not?
Anytime Tiger plays, it's a big deal. 2 years ago, after that tournament, he had the car accident, women's hoops. At number 3, LSU. At number 1, South Carolina on Sunday. Who you got?
Last 2 unbeaten. That game has got my attention. I want to see that game, and we'll watch. Anthony Davis says he didn't appear more excited when LeBron got the scoring record because he was upset about losing the game. Your thoughts?
Good thing to say. Smart. Last one. Number 1, Purdue at unranked Northwestern on Sunday. Are you smelling upset?
I can't be objective about that game. I'm rooting as hard as I can.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Purple on track for getting the tournament, Tony. Watch out. I'm Mike Wilbon. Have a great weekend, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. Have a great Super Bowl weekend. Here's SportsCenter. PTI.